Hi, this is Nick Lowry and my good friend Greg Abels, and we're here at Winsong Dojo, and I'm going to talk about a little engagement principle. When we're dealing with a body coming towards us, there's a moment where we go from being two disconnected entities to right at the point of contact when our bodies first touch. And that's a very powerful moment to be conscious and aware of and engaged in. And there's some strategies for engaging that are pretty subtle in Aikido that if you learn them early on can be very, very useful to you. There's a nice way to practice. Let's say we're dealing with somebody coming in to grapple with us. They're going to grasp. He's going to reach out and get a hold of my hand. And we're going to start at a little distance, a little ways away, outside my. We're approaching. I have this communication and this situation developing, and as he starts to reach in, I reach in. So that he actually is triggering off of my reach. So I'm basically giving him the timing of when his activity's coming. He didn't decide when to grasp and launch his attack. I decided, because I basically came up on the center line and put my hand engaged with it. And I do that in a fairly casual way, like I'm reaching to shake hands, like, hey, how you doing, man? Just, yeah, right. And then his engagement comes. Now, at the moment of contact, because I've engaged my shoulder muscles in my arm, I have an option. I have two options, really. If I reach up and he reaches in and engages, and I rigidify, we immediately have some sort of conflict going on. And he can tell you, he could immediately just take me right off and do stuff with me. Yeah, terrible stuff. But if that moment of contact, when he gets this signal coming at him, I relax my arm and relax my shoulder, it sinks him down into a hole. Now, I'm not collapsing. I'm not pulling in. I'm not just crunching in. I haven't withdrawn my energy, so to speak. It's just that it comes out like a handshake, and then it relaxes. And he can tell you, it just sinks him right down in this hole. Everything starts heading down before he's ready, and in a way that it's hard for him to react to. If I were to reach out and then pull down, he can get structure under that. He can stop it. It may give him a little jolt, but wow, he's underneath it, and he can kind of stop that activity. So it's not that I reach out and then I go down. I don't just pull down. That may or may not get him, but see if you can stop it. This is me pulling down. That's right. Trying to see a little activity on his body, but it's not quite there. But if I just reach out and then relax, without changing the pressure here, his whole structure starts to get compromised in this very strange way. What's happening there is that I give him a moment where my body has extension. In fact, what I'm doing right now is I'm opening my shoulder blade. So my shoulder blade is rolling out this way as I reach, like, hi, like you're really reaching for something. And as he makes contact, I just let it collapse back towards my spine. So he's really dealing with the muscles, not in my arm, but the muscles in my mid-back, which he's not very good at reading. If he deals with my hand reaching back and forth, watch how he can do with that. If I reach out with my elbow and pull back with my elbow, man, he kills that instantly. It's like nothing. This is my elbow. He can just stop that. Well, that doesn't work at all. But watch the same thing when the muscles he's engaging, or I'm engaging with him, are shoulder. His body doesn't read that very well, doesn't pick up on that same signal very well. It's happening inside of my body pretty deep, and it's hard for him to have a sensation of it. Also, it's not a sensation of going to turn the pressure on. It's actually a pressure on that's then turned off. And because it's turned off, it's a negative thing. It's not a positive signal. It's a lack of signal that he's trying to respond to. And once he gets like this, then I can give him positive signal again. Press it down. This is great for judo too. I'm going to reach up. We're going to make our judo grips. I'm going to reach in. My shoulders are out. And at the moment of contact, just as my hands touch, his hands touch, relax my shoulders down. Isn't that wild? Very strange sensation. hard to stop. But if I were to reach out and be actively positive and then actively positive down, wow, here I go. I cannot pull him down. Can't be done. Can't not do it. If I do it by turning off the torsion that's holding the shoulder blades out. It's very difficult for him to react to. If we could see it in the arm, we can see it in damn near any muscle group. If I am coiling in and pulling, he can coil out against that very readily. But it's hard for him to react to the turning off thing. Boom. If I'm pressing in, it's hard for him to react to the turning off thing. If I'm lifting, hard to react to the turning off thing. So basically, when you apply a line of force, and there's a steady signal, there's a pressure that his body can respond to, and then you take that signal away, his body has to start responding and filling the void of what was going on. He may or may not be stable enough in his center and his lower abs to stabilize against this. Boom. But when it's happening at that same moment, when contact is just about to be made, when our two bodies, our separate individual centers of gravity, are just about to enter this relationship, at that instant, there's a lot of proprioceptive accommodation going on in our nervous system that's saying, uh-oh, we're now dealing with one big unit of moving through space. We're no longer individual bouncing around in the world entities. Now we're chained together. The moment of being chained together, the moment when we get hooked up and locked in and we basically have this relationship develop, while that's happening, wow, there's vulnerability. Right at that instant. And when you make subtle changes inside your structure, here's my hip changing. And here's my shoulder changing. Right. It affects him in ways that he can't perceive what's going on. And he's a sensitive guy. He has good hands and has a good Aikido game and a good Judo game and good feelers and can feel what's happening. But he can tell you, it's not easily referenced. You don't have a reference point for it. It's like, what was that? Right. And that's what we're dealing with. So sometimes we can affect things by putting power here and power there and power there in a line, and it's very easily comprehensible, and the other person can read it, and it's all very easy to sketch out and see how this is happening. And sometimes we're facing Aikido in its I would say, a little more advanced form, probably its purer form, where you have a hard time pinning down what just happened to you. Where in fact, one Daito-ryu teacher said, if you can tell what just happened to you, then it ain't real Aiki. This is one of those deals. Extension, moment of contact, and there we are. Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So, play with it a little bit. You're dealing with the deep core muscle groups in the shoulders and in the arms. There's one in the chest as well that you can do just by expanding the chest. But it's the deep core activities of setting a moment of tension in one part of the structure, here, or under, or up here, or forward. And then not going to a new moment of tension, but to a moment of relaxation off of it that offers an opportunity for them to fall into a negative space, so to speak, a tactile void, where they have a hard time finding any reference point other than their own power. And it just collapses around them. So very interesting mechanism. Thank you.